colleagues on the dais, Mr. Ratnesh Jha, who is heading United Nations Global Compact Network as its Executive Director, Dr. Chandrika Parmar, who has been working for last more than 1 decade for PRME and a very senior academician of our country in management education. And I can find that some of the top institutions are represented by their heads. Dr. Vishal Talwar, who is heading IMT Ghaziabad, which is one of the topmost private business school in our country. Dr. Karthik Dave, who is the Dean of Ambedkar University. Dr. Sapna Rakesh, she is heading GL Bajaj Institute. Faculty colleagues and students who have joined today. Starting any big thing, any good thing is always difficult, but Vinita has been working hard for last 4-5 months for this conference to happen. Thank you, Vinita. Thank you, Dr. Chandrika Parmar. I can tell you a very brief story that in 2005 we have shifted to Greater Noida, and suddenly some idea came into our mind that Millennium Development Goals need some awareness. So I have requested our students and teachers to go to Noida, the main market. Greater Noida was not having any market, so we went to the main marketplace sector, Athare or Atta market in Noida, and formed a human chain. There were 200-300 students. Rahul was also present, and people were seeing, they were amazed what this is happening. ये हाथ पकड़ के खड़े हो गए सारे तो और कुछ पोस्टर थे. So ultimately, after the program, a couple of media persons came for a media interaction, and I was not as old as I am. I was also young at the time, and the first question one person asked, what your institute is doing for poor. You are talking about poverty reduction, what your institute is doing for poor. And I was flabbergasted. I could not give a proper reply. I just assured him that we will do something. So that is in my mind, that if we can talk big things, talking is very easy, walking is difficult. So in 2007, PRME came into the picture, and we have become the member in 2008. So during last 15 years, PRME has become a global movement. I am telling to students also, why should you involve yourself with PRME and its 6 principles? Now PRME is having 800 signatories. Yes. 800 plus top business schools are the signatory. And there are few forums, global forums of management educators, ACSB, EFMD, CMAN and others. They are the votaries and they are the supporter of PRME. And PRME and SDG 2030, very close relations. SDG 2030 is a big agenda for business, society and governments. PRME is a big agenda, 6 principles of responsible management education. It is the only global agenda so far for business schools. May I ask my students why this agenda has given by the Kofi Annan, then General Secretary of United Nations, to B schools only. B schools are hardly representing 5% or 10% students population in higher education in the whole world. Why this was not given to all universities and higher education programs? Answer is, B schools are dealing with producing future business leaders. There are 18,000 business schools in the world and more than 1 million students may be graduating. Rough estimate, I may not be correct. We are producing future business leaders.
Delighted to be here. I want to thank BIMTECH for organizing this with Harivan Chaturvedi. I mean, you've already spoken about him being a relentless supporter, and I, over the years, have, should I say, I've experienced that. I know that I've had his support right through in this journey. Vinita, thank you so much for organizing this, and bringing the community together. Ratnesh, thank you so much. We've been having several conversations, my colleagues from several business schools here, and the students here. Thank you so much for being here, because you are the future, you are the ones who are going to carry much of this agenda forward. And we all actually look forward to, and you are the community that we are talking to here today as we gather here. A couple of years ago, when we were having an online meeting of the Prime community, we decided that we would have 4 hubs, North, South, East, West. North, BIMTECH would lead the North, TAPME South, IIM Ranchi, the East, and GIM the West. The intention was to democratize and to create a larger spread where Prime would become a more where schools took leadership and took, should we say, they would lead these initiatives. The intention was also to drive membership. We are 4,000 business schools in this country. About 62 are members of Prime. So there's a huge potential there. Professor Chaturvedi just now spoke about 500 institutions in the Delhi NCR region. I know there are 80 in Mumbai. We know there are similarly in several Bangalore, many other locations. There are similar schools, even city-based. So how do you democratize that? How do you reach out to a larger community? The people who are 62 schools here are basically schools which are already converted. They've been pioneers, they've been exemplars. As part of that, we will be, through this year, we're reaching out to city-based schools, many of the members, and actually, whether there's a meeting planned in Jaipur, there's a meeting planned in Bangalore, there's Hyderabad, and several cities where we will try to create a momentum around Prime. Prime has, I would like to believe, has given us a set of institutions, individuals who have all been exemplars, people who are leading from the front. And this community has also given us certain kind of, realize that we are not alone in this journey. There are many others who've been doing this despite Prime and before Prime actually came to the beginning. There are many of them sitting here who lead that initiative. And the Prime community is a combination of all kinds of schools. Largely we have, even though there are 62 schools, you have schools which are private institutions. The largest hub is a private institution, really. But then you have public universities, and you also have public institutions. So there's a large number of institutions which are part of it. The public universities, we have a smaller number. I guess the processes are much longer, and that's what I'm told, to become member of Prime. But there's the private institutions which have been leading this conversation in different ways.
I was sandwiched between 3 doctors, thought leaders, relentless, zealous protectors of sustainability and advancers, doers actually, practitioners, because Dr. Chaturvedi and Dr. Vinita Datta Roy, I am honest to admit, they have been my first stop. As I assumed office, BIMTECH was the institution I visited first, because they have been our most oldest and abiding members, and the kind of warmth and the kind of vision that they shared and the ask which UN Global Compact should fulfill. I was deeply influenced that look at this business, so-called business institution, but it is talking about sustainability and things which UN principles they adhere to. They really have imbibed it within themselves as well as they transmit to students. So with you, I think Global Compact and PRME is safe with your leadership. Chandrika ji invited me to the annual event to Mumbai, SP Jain, and again she also is a magician of sorts. She had pulled together so many diverse, apart from the business school, Ashish was there. Ashish. So amazing, diverse leadership, thought leadership, icons, role models, and very frank and very honest deliberations I think some social activist was also there from,
Biswara.
yeah.
Wilson Bijwala.
So I think this is what is PRME all about. So when, and again on the first two rows, I think what you rightly said, 20 institutions are represented. Some of them, Global Compact has had the fortune of working together. IMT Ghaziabad, especially, we ran an online course. Dr. Radha is a constant source of inspiration, even from the founding days of Global Compact, where she worked with ONGC and her transformation of ONGC, she also contributed. So many leaders, doers, and Rahul, I think your name is Rahul, right? So you are the alumni of BIMTECH? No, okay. So, and you also represent industry. So this is the triangulation that PRME intends, and successfully it is represented in this room. But only the room size is small. It has to be much bigger. And all of us who are here, it is our responsibility, joint responsibility, to make it bigger. So from Panchayat to Gram Sabha to Parliament. So we have to expand our horizon, because India is a country of continental proportions, I need not repeat it, and to reach the kind of scale and size that is required to reach every marginalized Indian and the achievement of SDGs, PRME can play a very active and a catalytic role. Because as rightly mentioned by all our speakers before me, students are the key. The youth today is the leader tomorrow. And 2-3 things I had thought of when I was preparing for this interaction today.
This forum is called Principles of Responsible Management Education. It was founded by United Nations in 2007. BIMTECH has become its member in 2008. The conference is the annual forum of the North India chapter of PRME India. So the theme of this one-day annual forum is building sustainable development into the business education. So how to embed and how to make it part of the sustainable development, how the two things, sustainable development as well as business education, can work together. This is the agenda before this day-long deliberation.
Sir, how will UNGCI will strengthen this forum?
UNGCI represents the private sector initiatives in sustainable development goals. There are 800 plus companies in India which are part of United Nations Global Compact Network of India. So they are supporting it because the PRME has been started by UN Global Compact. So it is the part of UN Global Compact. So private sector companies and the business schools, both private B schools as well as the government owned business schools, they have to work together so that the sustainable development goals, 17 goals, can be achieved by 2030.
Sir, what is your suggestions to the other organizations on CSR spending and SDGs?
CSR spending, the government has promulgated and implemented a policy few years back that the big companies have to spend 2% of their average profit for preceding 3 years on CSR. And around 8,000 companies, they are spending around 15,000 to 20,000 crore per annum on CSR. Now, the question is that merely spending on CSR will not ensure the achievement of 17 sustainable goals. So SDG is much more bigger than the CSR. CSR is a tiny part of sustainable development goals. SDG is to be achieved by the mutual cooperation of the government, business, society, and also business schools.
Sir, how such conferences can be helpful for the management students?
Management students, they have to, when they pass out from B schools, they have to join corporate sector mostly. They work for corporates or they can become self-employed entrepreneurs. but in both the cases, they will be the future leaders of business or society or in government. So unless they are awakened to the need, pressing need of sustainable development goals achievement by 2030, I think we cannot achieve the SDG goals, 17 SDG goals. So it is an endeavor of United Nations around the world. There are 800 plus B schools members around the world of PRME movement. In India, 60 top B schools are its members. So this is a one-day deliberation of the more than 500 B schools which are operating in North region, Delhi NCR region, but out of them only 30 plus B schools so far have joined this movement. We are hopeful that they are the top league B schools of India. Under their leadership, other B schools will also join it. It will become a big movement if we continue to work collectively and join hands together to make it a big movement in NCR region and North India.
Thank you so much, sir, for talking to 10 News.
Thank you.